Arian's first scream shattered the quiet of dawn. It wasn't the cry of an infant. It wasn't human. It wasn't vampire. It was a sound that didn't belong in the world. A sound that made the birds drop from the trees and the wind stop mid-gust as if stunned. Ilara jolted awake, gripping the blanket around her as dread rushed through her veins like frost. She had heard her child cry before. She had soothed him, fed him, rocked him while the world outside hunted them. But this cry was filled with a hunger she didn't recognize. Lorien was already standing at the doorway to the child's room, motionless, staring into the darkness inside. His face was carved into a stillness that frightened her more than the scream had. "What is it?" Ilara whispered. Lorien didn't answer. A second cry pierced the air, shorter, sharper, vibrating like metal dragged across stone. Ilara's legs moved on instinct. She pushed past Lorien and entered the room. Arian was sitting upright in his crib, his small hands gripping the wooden bars so tightly they splintered under his fingers. His eyes, normally golden with warm flecks, were wide, dilated, glowing with a feverish mix of gold and red. His breath was ragged, his chest rose and fell too fast. He wasn't looking at his mother. He was staring at her throat. "Arian?" Ilara whispered, forcing her voice to stay steady, despite the icy fear squeezing her ribs. "Baby, look at me." His gaze snapped to her eyes for a moment, and she saw it, the child she loved, the softness, the innocence. But it drowned under something darker, something ancient, something hungry. The hunger. Lorien stepped between them in an instant. "Do not go closer," he said quietly. Ilara flinched. "He's our son. And tonight he is something else." A soft snarl rolled from Arian's chest. His fingers curled more, nails sharpening into tiny points that dug into the wood. Ilara gasped. "What's happening to him?" Lorien didn't answer immediately. His jaw was tight, his eyes narrowed. "Every vampire undergoes a first hunger," he said at last, voice low. "The moment when blood calls to them for the first time. A test of control, a test of survival. But he's only months old," Ilara said, voice cracking. "This shouldn't happen yet, should it?" "No," Lorien's voice was grim. "It should not." Arian's pupils shrank suddenly, and he hissed. His tiny teeth, still those of a baby, pushed forward, lengthening, sharpening into fangs. Blood dripped from his gums where the new teeth cut through. Ilara covered her mouth. Arian was transforming. The cabin creaked, shadows shifted. The air felt heavier. "We need to feed him," Lorien said, "soon, or the hunger will take his mind." Ilara trembled. "Feed him." "What?" Lorien didn't have to say it. Blood. Arian lunged, small body slamming against the crib so violently the entire structure jolted inches across the wooden floor. His eyes locked onto Ilara again. Lorien grabbed her wrist. "You cannot let him drink from you. He's my child. And he will drain you dry without understanding what he's doing." Arian let out a low, hungry moan. Ilara turned away, tears blurring her sight. "Then what does he drink?" "Animal blood will barely calm him. It will keep him alive, yes, but not the hunger, not the rage." Another snarl ripped from Arian, more feral than any cry before. His eyes rolled back for a moment, and he thrashed as if fighting with invisible claws. Ilara stepped closer despite Lorien's warning. "He's hurting. And if you get close enough," Lorien said harshly, "he will tear into your throat before you can touch him." Ilara stiffened, but the truth in his voice was undeniable. A quiet thud echoed from outside, then another. Lorien's head snapped toward the window. The pines surrounding the cabin shifted unnaturally, their branches moving against the wind's direction. Something crawled among them, something that gripped the trunks with too many fingers. Something fast, shades. More than one. Ilara froze. "They found us." Lorien's voice dropped to a deadly whisper. They were tracking the child's hunger. The thud came again, this time from the roof. A scraping sound followed, claws. Arian screamed, eyes burning with terror and hunger mixed. Shadows stirred violently across the walls, as if responding to his cry. "They're coming," Ilara whispered. "No," Lorien said, teeth bared. "They're already here." A crack split through the ceiling. Ilara clutched Arian instinctively, but his body jerked violently at her touch, fangs grazing her wrist before Lorien pulled him back. The roof tore open. A skeletal hand with skin stretched tight over blackened bone clawed its way inside. A second hand followed. A shade dropped into the room, landing with a sickening crack that shook dust from the beams. Ilara gasped, stumbling backward. The shade towered over them, its body tall but twisted, its eyes burning like dying coals, its mouth too wide and lined with ragged fangs. It let out a wet, rattling breath as it sensed the hybrid child. Lorien stepped forward, blade drawn. "Stay behind me," the shade hissed, and Arian answered with a hiss of his own. The creature lunged. Lorien moved faster. His blade slashed through the air, slicing deep into the shade's arm. The creature didn't scream. It only tilted its head, as if confused by pain. Then it swung its other arm with unnatural strength. Lorien flew backward, slamming into the wall hard enough to make the entire cabin tremble. "Lorien!" Ilara cried. But Arian shrieked louder. The shade turned toward him, compelled, hungering for the child whose blood could shift the balance of the world. Its long limbs reached for the crib. Ilara rushed forward without thinking. "Stop!" she screamed. The creature ignored her. Arian's eyes bulged with both terror and rage. His small body convulsed, and then something impossible happened. Light burst from his skin. A blinding flash of gold shot from his tiny chest, exploding outward like a sunbeam made solid. The shade recoiled with a shriek so inhuman, it rattled every bone in Ilara's body. Smoke rose from the creature's flesh where the light touched it. The darkness inside the room peeled away like torn cloth. What is that?" Ilara whispered, shielding her eyes. Lorien staggered to his feet. His face was pale with shock, his power. The shade tried to advance again, but the sunlight-like aura around Arian intensified, burning into the creature's skin. It stepped back, hissing, half its face melting from the glow. Arian gave another scream, this one fueled by fear and hunger mixed, and the flash brightened again, enveloping the room in a sphere of golden fire. The shade stumbled, its bones cracked. Its chest caved inward, and with a final shriek it crumbled into ash. Ilara stared at Arian in horror and wonder. Her son, still crying, still trembling, had killed a shade with light alone. Lorien grabbed her shoulder. "We must leave. Now." But Arian suddenly sagged, his glow flickering like a dying flame. His breathing quickened dangerously. The light drained from him, leaving his skin pale as frost. "What's happening?" Ilara whispered. "The power," Lorien said, voice tight. It consumed what little strength he had left. Ilara clutched the edge of the crib. "He needs blood," Lorien nodded once. "Then I'll give him mine," she said. "No," Lorien's voice cracked like a whip. "Vampire blood will change him. It will force his transformation early. He'll become something neither human nor vampire can control. Then what do we do?" Lorien hesitated only a second. "We hunt." A loud crash sounded from outside. The second shade had torn through the front door, and a third clawed its way in through the window. Ilara gasped. "More of them!" "They come in packs," Lorien growled. "They smell the hybrid's hunger." Arian whimpered weakly, his eyes fluttered shut. Ilara reached into the crib, lifting him against her chest. He felt cold, too cold. His tiny heart beat rapidly, fluttering like a bird trapped in a cage. Lorien stepped in front of her, blade glowing faintly in the dim light. "Keep him close, do not run unless I say." The shades entered, crawling on all fours, their faces twisted in grotesque hunger. Their movements were jerky, broken, but impossibly fast. Their eyes glowed with rabid intent. They wanted the child. Lorien bared his fangs, ancient power radiating off him like heat. "Come then," he growled. "Try." The first shade leapt. Lorien met it midair, driving the blade up through its jaw and into its skull. It writhed violently, screeching before disintegrating into black dust. But the second lunged behind him. Ilara screamed as it landed inches from her, its claws outstretched toward Arian. Desperation overpowered fear. She thrust the baby's glowing hand toward the creature's face. Arian's eyes snapped open. Light burst from his palm. The shade shrieked as its flesh burned, stumbling backward, clawing at its melting face. Lorien seized the moment, cleaving its head from its shoulders. Silence fell. Smoke drifted through the ruined cabin. Outside, the forest was unnaturally quiet. Even the wind refused to approach. Ilara cradled Arian, whose glow had dimmed to almost nothing. He looked frail, too frail. He won't survive another attack, she whispered. Lorien, what do we do? Lorien's gaze hardened, jaw tightening with an emotion he rarely allowed himself to feel. Fear. We go to the Sanctuary of Suns, he said. Tonight, but it's days away. Not if we travel through the old tunnels. Ilara froze. The tunnels, she whispered, but they're forbidden even to vampires. And that, Lorien said, is why the elders will not expect us to use them. He sheathed his blade. We leave now. Ilara held Arian tighter as they stepped outside. The air was colder, the sky darker. Shapes moved between the trees. More shades, more hunters, drawn to the scent of a hybrid child. Arian whimpered weakly, eyelids drooping. Ilara kissed his forehead. Stay with me. Lorien took her hand and pulled her toward the tree line. Behind them, the cabin cracked, groaned, and collapsed under the weight of the shadows gathering above it. Ahead of them, the forest opened into a narrow ravine leading into darkness. Ilara shivered. What's inside those tunnels? Lorien didn't answer at first. Only when they stepped across the threshold of the ravine did he speak. Things even the elders fear. And behind them, the forest filled with shuddering screams, shades closing in. The only way forward was into the darkness. The only hope was to keep the child alive. The only truth was this: Arian's hunger had awakened something far worse than the elders. And now everything in the night wanted him.